it's Aurora and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Hi. I talk about books and writing, and today I am talking about The Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore, and I will be doing like Christmassy books all the way up to the new year. So, same order of business as always. I will do a synopsis, try and keep it brief. I will do the likes, I will do the dislikes, then wrap it up in a neat little bit of a conclusion. We go off and have a lovely rest of our day. There will be some spoilers in this, but I am going to try not to have too many and keep it as light as possible. So yeah, I think that said, let's just get into it with the synopsis. Right, so Kira owns the Christmas Tree Farm. She bought it during the previous book, The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, where we do briefly meet her and she says she's not opening the Christmas Tree Farm, and now she is, because she's skint. And Bennett is in town for Christmas. He's come to stay above the not the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. He's come to stay above the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, and Jeannie has basically all but moved in with Logan, so we get a nice little update on them. And you know, he ends up spending more and more time with Kira, and he is asked to by the residents of Dream Harbour to go and find out what happened at the Christmas Tree Farm way before the events of this book. So, and that is the mystery of the story. So yeah, I think that about covers it. Let's get into the likes. Number one, the setting. So, Dream Harbour at Christmas. I have been looking forward to this because we have seen it in autumn. We've seen like the sort of late summer, early autumn. And now we're finally getting to see Christmas, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And it's obviously like anything with Dream Harbour, they go all out for it. You've got decorations everywhere. You've got a Christmas tree market. You've got the tree lighting. Obviously, we had mention of the tree lighting in the first book, the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, so it was really nice to see it properly and not have a drama happen. And yeah, really loved it, and it was such a nice thing to, like, you know, make the world feel that little bit more lived in, that little bit more real. So yeah, loved Christmas anyway, so I was a bit of a sucker for it. As you can probably tell because I'm wearing a Christmas squirrel jumper. Yep, this is my favourite jumper. And I get to bring it out like once, you know, 1 month a year. Anyway, so yeah, I would love to visit Dream Harbour at Christmas. So, and the fact that I want to go and see it and enjoy Dream Harbour Christmas kind of is a testament to how well it has been written. Unfortunately, we don't see tons because most of the action does happen at the Christmas Tree Farm, but we do see a lot of Christmas Tree Farm and all the hard work that Kira's put into it, making it Christmassy, which was also quite a nice little touch. And number two, the dogs. I am a sucker for dogs because I grew up around collies. Like when I was a kid, my mum's sister has collies and they are absolutely adorable. I love dogs. I am a pet owner. I love animals in general. I would have more than just one little hamster. I would probably have a whole menagerie given half a chance. So yeah, I really liked that, and they were a really nice plot device as well as just being nice to have in the plot because they did help me warm to Kira. You know, it's very that Save the Cat kind of thing. Save the Cat is a book series actually now at this point, I believe, and there's like, you know, and they're all on the craft of writing, whether it's like for kids books, novels, like scripts, whatever. But the idea is that if you want your audience to warm to a character, they have to save the cat or, you know, pet the cat, whatever. If they are nice to an animal, you will like them a bit more, and that was really needed in this book. So it was really, I'm really glad they put that in. And it's just nice to have dogs around, isn't it? And number three, the found love letters. I loved this. This was such a nice touch, and it actually made me think as well, because Kira does comment that it's really sad this is something we don't have anymore. You know, when was the last time you wrote someone you care about a letter? When was the last time you wrote your love, like the person you loved, a love letter, a proper one? Because all we do is communicate in text and email, and nothing is as permanent as it once was. You know, we lose our email accounts. We just delete emails when things, the inbox gets full. We don't even print our photos off really anymore. So it was nice to have that. And again, it showed a bit of a softer side to Kira. And it showed that there was, the couple that lived there really did love each other. You could, as she said, you can see it in their letters to each other. There's so much love between them. And they were a bit spicy, which was kind of fun to throw in too. So yeah, really enjoyed that. It was nice for character development. It tied in really nicely with the plot, especially like the ending. I loved that. I thought it was one of the best parts of this book. And number 4 was actually Bennett getting, making steps on his own to get his shit together. He is a people pleaser, and it is an issue through the book. Kira has an issue with it, which weirdly I kind of liked, because when someone is a people pleaser, you're like, you don't have to keep doing this for me, this isn't healthy. And it wasn't Kira magically fixing him. He actually sorted his own shit out, which is important to have and necessary and needed. He is such a golden retriever kind of guy that it was good to see him actually put up a boundary, put his foot down and go like, whoa, no. So that said, let's get into the dislikes. Number 1, the mystery. Okay, so we have did the previous owner bump his wife off and bury her on the property? This did not feel Dream Harbour to me. It was a bit dark, and I didn't like all the townspeople's kind of reactions to it, getting really nosy about it and getting kind of weird about it. It did make me a little bit like, this doesn't feel Dream Harbour. This doesn't feel like the residents. They are gossipy, but this was a little on the dark side for me. Thankfully, it largely got forgotten, as the mystery tends to in these books. So I wasn't too mad at it. I was glad when it got forgotten. You get a resolution, and for anyone who's a bit worried that they're going to find a body, they don't. It's all good. It did make the ending feel a bit Deus Ex Machina, I'm not going to lie. But, it was, again, I know I've harped on that the mystery is the weakest thing in the Dream Harbour series, and this book, actually even weaker than I think the others, which was kind of going some, because I actually was my least favourite part of the last book. But that said, it's not the worst thing I've ever read, so yeah. I'm trying to not be too nasty about this, but it ain't great. Number 2, Kira. Now, she is one of the 2 main characters of this novel. We met her briefly in the last one, and I didn't like her. I really didn't. It took me a really long time to even start to warm towards her, even with the being nice to animals. Because the thing is, while she's meant to be the grumpy to his sunshine, there is a fine line between being grumpy and being nasty. Unfortunately, quite often Kira, I felt, was just nasty. I don't want to follow this person falling in love. I don't want them to go and be happy, because they don't seem like a very nice person. So yeah, she was just so constantly at times just straight up rude, abrasive. She was just prickly, and I didn't enjoy that. I was just like, oh, I want to go back to Bennett. At least he's got a more cheerful disposition. And, obviously it is getting to see, Dream Harbour work its magic of making people, making a person more chilled out, more friendly, more nice, more community spirited. But I felt it went a bit too into the unpleasant territory. So yeah, I really didn't like her. And I didn't even feel like her backstory was like tragic enough to, warrant how horrible she was and how abrasive she was. Okay, you find out that she comes from money, but the money that she had, she gave away to animal charities. Like, yeah, great. Do you want to start being nice to the people around you that are trying to help you? I get, I have to be independent, I have to do everything myself. Yeah, okay. You're a business owner. You are not going to do a lot of business if you keep being horrible to everyone. This should feel obvious, but yeah, here we are. So yeah, I was not a fan of Kira. Yeah, she softened. Yeah, maybe I warmed to her a bit towards the end, but her chapters felt hard going at times, unfortunately. And number 3, the why not a long distance relationship? Look, third act breakup, I know a lot of books have it. You need to have tension at the end of, at the start of the third act, at the end of the second act to, propel you into the last 25% of the book. But why did no one at any point consider maybe you two should just be long distance for a bit? No one. Like, these two ding dongs didn't, their friends didn't. At any point, someone could have said, well, look, yeah, okay, you've only known each other a few weeks. Why don't you try long distance for, say, like 6 months to a year? If you really want to be together and you hate being apart, my dude, you can work remotely and it's not an issue. You don't have to be where you are. You could move to Dream Harbour. Yeah, okay, it's difficult for Kira to, go running off to the other side of the country to go and be with Bennett because she is a business owner and she's a bit skint. But, and okay, it's hard for him to keep going back and forth because he's got the dogs and he's got to fly. But all the same, look, I am in a long distance relationship. I see my partner once, maybe twice a month if I'm lucky. And you know what? We message all the time. You've got FaceTime, you've got text messages, you've got letters, those love letters that you were on about. You've got options. So why it never even came up and we had to have a third act breakup that felt very abrupt and very unpleasant, I don't know. But I just, I didn't understand why at no point no one mentioned a long distance relationship. And I don't know if it's just because I'm in one. Maybe other people felt the same way. Let me know in the comments below if you've read this and you thought, why did they not mention a long distance relationship? Because I'm dying to know if it's just me. And number 4, Iris. Okay, this is a hear me out, right? Because I don't dislike Iris. However, I've got one issue. So in this book, she basically admits that, she's kind of child free. She will turn her hand to any odd job that gets thrown her way, anything that helps her pay the bills or whatever, but nothing to do with kids. Because when there's a group of kids on the ice, when they all go ice skating, she's like, me, no, not for me, no. And I liked that. I'm a child-free person myself by choice. I actually even got sterilised like 10 years ago. I really don't want to be around kids. I don't like kids. It's why I'm not reading The Strawberry Patch Pancake House. Now, when I saw her name and saw this, something in my brain just went, hang on a minute. Went and had a quick little look online. She is the main character of the next book. She ends up the nanny and she ends up pregnant. And I could go on quite the rant for this, but I do find it quite a harmful thing in novels where, or any media really, where if someone is child free, they almost certainly end up with, by the end of the story, with kids or with adopted kids, or at least changing their mind. And I'm child free by choice. I am nearly 40. I do not regret my decision to never have kids. I still don't want them to this day. I do not ever see me changing my mind. And it is nice to have some child-free representation, to know that that's getting, that is her character growth, is to suddenly, want kids and be around kids. It does frustrate me. It is kind of, it's not harmful, but it kind of can be, because it just kind of puts into that thing of, oh no, you'll absolutely change your mind one day. And plenty of child-free people absolutely don't. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It absolutely does. But there are plenty of child-free people who go through life, never have kids, and they're happy with that choice. I'm one of them. I'm nearly 40. I do not regret not having had kids. I'm getting to a point where I'm getting too old for them if I did want to change my mind, but I do not see it happening. I treat small children like, unexploded devices, of going like, I'm going to let a professional deal with that and back away slowly. So I did find that really frustrating as a child-free person to be like, hey, one of us. Oh, oh well. So yeah, that I didn't love, and I do find it very frustrating. And you know, it is something that comes up in all romance books where it's like, you know, hang on, you've known this guy for like 2 weeks and you're already thinking about having his babies. This is a little weird, my dude. So it is just part of the story. I know I'm in a minority of being child free and not liking kids very much, but you know, it was just like, hey, it was so close to having some representation of my kind of people, and then gone. So that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching if you made it to the end of this. Do leave me a like if you're feeling generous, you know, maybe even subscribe if you're not. You know, comments are also very welcome and helpful. I do respond to comments when I get them, and they absolutely make my day. So, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next week for a little video that is going to be all about getting into copywriting. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful week. Bye.